Inkonzo yesikhumbuzo yamaphoyisa sesifundazweni sase-Free State amathathu atholakale eshonile emfuleni Henop sesifundazweni sase-Gauteng ibibanjelwe eBloemfontein sewuhlelo Asikhulume Let's Talk City dudu kwemndeni kaCebekhulu Lina Boyipilo Senuhe kanye noKyamokhethu Base alwehlanga lungehlanga. Ukuba unogada umsebenzi obaluleke kakhulu izwe lonke. Onogada mbukeli ibona futhi abaphambili ukuvikela ezinkampanini ezizimele kanti futhi ziningi ingqinamba abahlangabezana nazo kusukela ezimeni zokusebenza ezingezinhle izinsolo zokukhwabanisa emalini yempesheni abanjwa ngabaqashi babo kanye namaholo aphansi mbukeli. Njengoba umhlaba wonke mbukeli usanda kugubha usuku labasebenzi bamazwe ngamazwe ezinsukwini nje ezimbalwa ezedlule iningi lalaba abasebenzi embonini yezokuphepha ezimele bathi akukho abangakubungaza. NgoNovember ka-2023 Financial Sector Conduct Authority ikhiphe uhlu lwabaqashi abangu 7,700 ababambela abasebenzi imali zempesheni bengayihambisi mbukeli kwesikhwama sezimpesheni. Lolu hlu lucishelwa phinde kabili mbukeli uma kuqhathaniswa no 4,000 olwakhishwa yiphathimandla ngo-2023. Namhlanje mbukeli sibuza ukuthi yini engenziwa ukuqinisekisa ukuthi amalungelo abasebenzi balezi zinkampani zokuphepha ezizimele awaqhashazwa. Asekubengeleleke mbukeli sikwamukela ohlelweni Asikhulume Let's Talk. Igama lami ngingubongiwe uMakhumalo wakwazwane. Mbukeli khumbula ukuthi ungaba ingxenye lolu hlelo shayela ucingo ku 011 7140677 noma 011 setholakala kumakhasethi okuxhumana ku-X SABC Izindaba kanti ku-Facebook ikhasi lethu u-SABC Izindaba. Ukuze kubelula ungaqala ngo#Asikhulume #SABC News bese ke ubhala umbuzo noma umbono wakho. Asikhulume. Mbukeli kuleli ingxenye enkulu yabantu ithembele ezinkampanini zonogada ezizimele kunamaphoyisa ngenxa yokukhula kobugebengu noma lezizinkampani ziwusizo kodwa ke uzwile ukuthi ezinye zezinkinga zazo ziyashaqisa. Ake siqale sizwe ukuthi abasebenzi balomkhakha bathini.
Ngicela ukulipholda igama lesibhedlela negama lekhampani kodwa ngingaphansi kwe-Headquarter District Municipality. Ngisebenzela le kampani ethize ngengisho igama. Ngibhlungu kakhulu umsakazi ukuthi sama security singaholi isikhathi esingango 4 months. Siqashile la. Sinemndeni emakhaya siyondla. Kunzima even ezindlini zethu asazi ukuthi sizosebenza sidlani.
Eyona nto ingxaki apha kwi-security le ukutsalelwa i-tax kanti ayisiwa kwa-SARS. Xa uthi uyazijonga kwa-SARS ukuthi uyaowa kodwa utsalelwa boma-800 boma-1,000 rand.
Ibolile industry ye-security. Akumandanga uba security eMzantsi Afrika. Yeyi uyabona kubole ukusuka kuboss ukuyotsho kongaphansi kuboss.
Mbukeli sikuzwile sihlalo odabeni sinoNazli Seegers, Chief Experience Officer at SALT Employee Benefits, who are the administrators for the Private Securities Sector Provident Fund, as well as COSATU spokesperson Zanele Sabela. Mbukeli, we invited the Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority inhlangano eqinisekisa ukuthotshelwa komthetho nokwengamela ukubhaliswa nokuqeqeshwa futhi mbukeli kwabasebenzi bezokuphepha kodwa banqabile mbukeli ukuba ingxenye lolu hlelo. Ake sikhulume ke namhlanje. Zanele, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. Next, I'm going to come back to you as well. Zanele, we invited SERA to be part of this conversation. They're quite critical when it comes to the conversations around what's happening in the security industry. They declined to be part of the show. What does that tell us?
It's quite strange. Because normally they would. Normally they are upfront. They are the ones that are talking and saying. Recently, I mean, we were talking about firearms in the security industry, and they were upfront, and they were the ones that were talking and commenting. And usually they don't. They don't decline interviews, so it's very strange that this particular one they decided to stay away from. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Nes, in 2023, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority publishing a list of companies, right, that they say they are deducting apparently, pension fund money from their own, employees, but they're failing to make these contributions to the respective pension fund administrators. And at stake at the time, this is in 2023, it was around over 6 billion rand. Has the picture changed? Are we seeing more employers contributing to the fund, or are things getting worse?
Thank you for the question. So I'm happy to report that the private security sector has put measures in place, and we're starting to see an increase in compliant employers in the sector. We have repeat offenders that continue to be non-compliant, so they have periods of compliance and then they revert to their old ways. But in general, the trend for compliance is increasing because the fund has started taking action.
And as you look at, of course, some of the investigation and the work that you've done here to try and improve the picture, what are some of the reasons that they give for not paying?
So cash flow is a big problem for the employers in the security industry. A lot of them cite poor payment cycles from, sadly, government departments that don't pay on time. So they have 6-month cycles, and it's just, cash flow is their biggest reason.
Zanele, when you look at the security industry itself, right, we're talking about low pay, we're talking about long hours in some cases, and sometimes they're risking their lives. What other for you, are the concerns in their line of work?
I suppose the biggest problem currently that we're looking at is this whole thing about their provident fund. I mean, their provident fund was started, I will be corrected, I think around 2018, which was a good thing considering that, they are amongst the vulnerable workers and low paid because when the minimum wage came into effect in 2019, they were amongst the employees that were being covered by the minimum wage. And so that's the thing. The thing about it is it was a good thing when the Provident Fund was started, and this we viewed as the labor movement as a very good thing, because then they would not be retiring in poverty, given how hard they work. I mean, they work, their jobs are really quite hard and quite lonely. I mean, as we speak right now, there is a security guard somewhere who's posted, who's guarding a building, a site, and there's no one else there with them. And so it is quite hard. It's quite hard work, and it's an industry that actually, I mean, there are more security officers in this country than there are police officers. So literally, they are propping us up in terms of, safety and security for all of us, for communities. And it's quite devastating that they're quite lowly paid and that their employers don't seem to take compliance seriously in terms of paying their pension fund contributions.
And Naz, when you think about what Zanele is saying, right, you think about the risks that are involved in this particular job, and sometimes the risks outweigh the benefits. And one would say then, does the risk then match the reward?
That's a difficult question to answer. I think I was talking to the ladies as I walked into this building, and they were saying that if they look at what they get paid versus what they actually have as disposable income at the end of the month, the two don't compare. Sadly, we know what the unemployment rates in the country are, and so these ladies have got to take what they can take in order to feed their kids and be moms and provide for their families.
And it's quite difficult, especially when you think about the fact that right now, recently we saw that case that was involving, one security company, and was able then to at least have the workers, and that's the court, getting the workers to then be able to attach some of the property. How far does that go when it comes to the fight for justice for security guards?
Oh, it goes a very long way. It goes a very long way. I think it gives hope to the rest of the industry. So you'll see a lot lot more action out of the private security sector provident fund now as well. The fund has put together their non-compliance framework. They've started taking action against employers, and we've now got employers coming to the table saying, okay, I know I haven't paid. How do I restore, what I've taken from the members?
And I want to probe that, action so that you tell us a bit more. But Zanele, how far does that go then? Because, NAS talks about the fact that now there's going to be action. They're finalizing, the paperwork, because there has been over time a concern that we're not seeing enough being done against the employers who simply aren't adhering to the rules.
You are right when you say that, because you spoke earlier about the FSCA report that came out at the end of last year. And they, like municipalities, unfortunately, municipalities, security companies and cleaning companies are the worst offenders in terms of that. And the particular company that you're talking about that you don't want to mention by name, at that point in that report was said to have been in arrears for about 68 months. That's quite a lot. And the figure actually that was mentioned in court papers is 151 million. And so to look at that and to look at that particular company and find that that particular company actually has government tenders in quite strategic government properties.
Zanele, before you move on, Zanele, pardon me, before you move on, let's just quickly talk about the impact that it would have on the workers if a company, you go through court papers, Mafuko is really laid bare there. What impact does it have on a worker who is simply at a disadvantage?
That's the thing. And, when last year, when the two-pot pension system came into play, into effect, that's when most workers, not just security guards, most workers became aware of the fact that, oh no, my employer just hasn't been praying over my contributions, when every month the money comes out. And so that is fraud. When you look at it plain and simple, it's fraud. It's taking money that doesn't belong to you. And literally, workers are propping up these companies because, it's a cheap form of finance, because they're taking this money and then they're using it to either run their business and do whatever they need to do with it, while it's supposed to go into the pension fund so it can provide for the workers when they do retire, or right now when they need money from their savings pot. And so to find that you would have, a security guard would have gone and wanted to claim from their savings pot, and we're not able to. And we, how everyone is indebted. It's been a very hard economy. Interest rates have skyrocketed, going up about 475, basis points. And so it's really hard. And then to find out then that my employer has been taking money from me and hasn't been paying it over. So
when we come back from the break, I want us to look at what does this action then look like, because this is criminal. It's purely criminal, and I suppose something needs to be done. Mbugeli agasathe u-Anonymous sawubona.
Sawubona.
Yebo, ungaqhubeka baba.
Bengicela ukubuza kulabo baba laba besira laba. Ukuthi kusemthethweni na ukuthi umlungu aqashe ngo-C bese kubhadala i-200 i-night ne-day, i-Sunday ayibhadalwa, i-holiday ayibhadalwa, into edonswa nje 50 rand, ngiyabona we-blue card, okunye akukho.
Okay.
Manje ngipresenta abantu 2020 until 25 nge-5 zikaMarch, nge-30 zikaMarch kwangena enye ikhampani baba-terminator labo. Umholo wakhona ubanjiwe kasibhwala sibhadelwa, zange sibhadale umholo lowo, namanje sisakufuthi.
Okay, Baba. Siyabonga, Anonymous, and Isira is not here with us. Zanele, angazi noma umzwile, are you able to assist?
Sekunzima makunjalo ngoba abasebenzi kuyanceda ukuthi ujoin union. Mawune union yakwazi ukuthi uyokhala khona bakunceda, futhi nabo bayakwazi ukutshela ukuthi yini ofuna ukubhadala yona. ubhuti angathi nje angene lapha ku-internet a-check-e ngoba i-security ine-sectoral agreement. Into ishoyo ukuthi ubhadalwa kangakanani, ubhadalwa kangaka, kodwa sonke siyazi la eMzansi ukuthi mawusebenza isonto, mawusebenza iholiday funeka ubhadalwe. Manje makangabheka nje if angasiyingxenye ye-union ngathi nje akajoyine i-union, funeka nje ujoyine i-union izokwazi ukuthi incede. Nakhona kuya e-labor center, i-Department of Employment ne-Labor inama-labor centers, nakhona mangakokota lapha bazokunceda.
And Naz, of course, we listen to Anonymous. He's telling us that he's not getting paid on a Sunday, that he's working, and it seems that his money is not enough, but also at the same time, they're withholding his salary. And I wonder, when you look at the issue of compliance, right, when it comes to security, private security companies, it's a criminal offense.
Absolutely.
And I wonder what action can be taken against an employer who does this.
So, good question. We actually have an employer in the Northern Cape at the moment, in the Northern Cape Court, where the directors are being held personally liable and the fund is pursuing charges, criminal charges against those employers. So I won't name and shame, but there is a matter, a criminal matter in the Northern Cape High Court.
How does an employee check if their employer that's deducting their pension money every month is actually paying it across?
So there's two things. We learned from previous interactions that our employees in the private security sector, 087 240 7006. They register on that WhatsApp number. If the ID is in our database, they can check contributions. But what we picked up from previous engagements with the SABC is that the members that aren't in our database weren't able then to engage with the system. So we've changed it now. We've added a tool for members that aren't registered at all on the platform to still come into the platform and then tell us, I work for NAS Security. They are based here, I'm employed, they're not paying contributions, they're not registered with the fund. So we encourage everybody, whether you've got a brother, a mother, a sister in security, 087 240 7006. Register on WhatsApp, and if you can't find yourself on the platform, tell us where you're employed so we can find your employer.
Zanele, can insourcing help?
Insourcing definitely does help. Insourcing definitely does help because then they are being paid by government. We've seen it happen with the city of Joburg when Mr. Herman Mashaba was the mayor in the city of Joburg. That helps quite a lot. But you will know that government itself has problems of its own in their austerity budgets, and critical vacancies have been frozen. And so there is that catch-22 that when insourcing does help, when budgets are not there, then people might just be insourced only to find that they are now retrenched. Sure. The other thing that we should mention in terms of someone actually finding out if their contributions are going through, all of us must receive a benefit statement once a year. If you don't see your benefit statement for around the time that you normally receive it, that should already ring bells to say something might be wrong, and then you need to just follow up.
I want to take Anonymous as well. Anonymous, Sawubona. Re teng le kae ntate? O ka tswela pele? O ka bua ntate?
Ke bua pakeng tsa company e neng ke sebetsa. So a ke itse re lebitso nka le bitsa na.
O ska le bitsa ntate. O ka re bolela hore bothata ke?
Bothata gore ko tlameha hore e re patale tjhelete. So e etsa ka ya letsatsi 200 rand. So a shift ke 200 rand, so re sebeleditse about 2 years. Ne re kopenyane ba re nyollenyana, ba re nyollela ka 40 rand ya ba 240. and ha ise motho lefeng re a sebetsa bo 3 years re sa lefeng
sure
ha re patele tšhelete tseo
Aure rutlwe ntate hore ntho ke ntho e leng hore e lokile kapa ha se ntho e leng hore tshwantse ya etsahala ka molao ke kopa o mamele o utlwe hore ba tlo araba ba reng Nance. He says that basically he works for a company, they pay them 200 rand an hour, they then had to negotiate to get a raise. It's now been moved to 240, but you do not get leave. You can work for 3 years without taking leave.
But that's just, it's not, I mean, there's a bargaining council for the private security sector that was founded in March 2020. My advice is to report them to the bargaining council. They've got active agents across the country. They can go and see that employer. That's also criminal. You can't pay somebody 240 for a shift.
Sure, it's quite, yeah, it's really gut-wrenching. Mbogele siyabuya khona manje nezisombululo zale nkinga. Sesiphetha Mbogela ke sibheke izisombululo zezinkinga ezibhekene nonogada, particularly those in private companies. Zanele, let me come to you. I mean, when you look at the industry, what's the one thing that can be fixed now?
The one thing that I think is urgent is this thing about the Provident Fund. I'm happy that SALT is saying that they have put systems in place to make sure that employers are compliant, because it was quite worrying. We've had stories about the fact that SALT was receiving money but couldn't allocate it to particular, to individual security guards' accounts. And so to hear that they slowly things are coming right is a very good thing. It's very it is very comforting. Obviously the fact that there are companies that are not even paying their employees, and it's a problem, especially when you look at the fact that such companies would have government tenders.
Yeah.
And so we are busy working in the background to try to see if government can actually look at that to make sure that the people that they give tenders to are compliant at all levels, not just in terms of paying tax, but then also making sure that they take care of their employees, because it's quite important.
Naz, in about 30 seconds, what's the most that can be given in terms of, a sentence or fine that can be given to a company that's non-compliant?
It's 10 years imprisonment or 10 million rand.
Sure. At least that's
no,
something.
it's hefty.
Yeah,
it's
that's
hefty.
Quite something.
And I think that companies must just know that the fund is taking action, and the directors that have been getting away with it won't be getting away with it for much longer. And to the members out there, please check 087 240 7006. Please make sure that you're registered, and if you're not, let us know so we can do something about it.
Mbogeli, asithembe ukuthi utholile nawe usizo. Sesifika emaphethweni ohlelo sibonge kuwe ukuthi uhlanganyele kanye nathi nehambele zethu. Nasli Seekers, who's the Chief Experience Officer at SALT Employee Benefits, who are the administrators for the private security sector Provident Fund, as well as COSATU spokesperson Zanele Sabela. Uma Mbogeli uphuthelwe liyaphinda uhlelo kusasa ku SABC 1 ngehora lesithathu kuze kube ngokuzayo. Ayixabene.